Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Networking Made Easy. So the students who are watching this video first time, I request you people to watch my introduction video where I have explained everything about this particular networking series, how I am going to able to conduct. Okay, so in the process of making this networking made easy, so this is our first topic, this is the first episode. So I want to talk something about the communication basics. So you will be finding few episodes in this particular in the communication basics. Then further, after finishing that, we will go to the networking basics. Okay, so then coming to our lecture. So this is a very small introduction to the communication basics. Okay, so whenever we speak about the communication in the sense, especially, see, suppose if we want to communicate with somebody, we speak, isn't it? We speak. Okay, so first thing is, in any communication process, there are three things involved, isn't it? So one is the transmitter, okay, and of course there should be a receiver to receive it, isn't it? And the third thing, okay, is the medium, isn't it? So whatever the information is being transmitted, it has to reach to the receiver. How it is reaching? Okay, so that particular thing is nothing but the medium. Okay, so when we speak, actually when we speak, what actually that particular signal is nothing but the voice signal. So when we speak, what actually we are doing is we are generating some sound. Okay, so in this particular sound, what actually is there is, okay, there are a range of frequencies, that is from it ranges from 100 hertz to 10,000 hertz. Knowingly or unknowingly, when we speak, we are generating so many frequencies. See, one thing you have to understand, in the communication, the term frequency is very important. Okay, so that is the reason in the voice signal also there are so many frequency components. So it is ranging from 100 hertz to 10,000 hertz. Okay, in general case, when we speak, so it is we are generating some sound signal. Okay, here in this particular case, the medium is the air. It is traveling through the air, and it is the person the other side. Okay, here in the transmitter, what is basically in the transmitter means we are speaking through mouth, isn't it? Here the receiver, the listener is listening through, okay, ears. So your mouth is working like a transmitter, and the other side, the person who is listening, his ear is working like a receiver. Fine, up to here it's okay. So now here in this particular range of frequencies, we are generating large number of frequencies. So here one thing you have to understand is there is one term called intelligence. Okay, so we are generating so many frequencies, but what are the frequencies which is conveying the actual information, the required information? So that is known to be a intelligence. Okay, so here, see, in this particular small graph, to make you better understanding, so somebody has made a good efforts of finding what all the frequency components available in the voice signal and what it contains. So here he made a small graph with respect to intelligence percentage and the voice frequency. So when you see here, see, this is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30%. So most of our intelligence is lying in this particular range. Okay, so if you count it, if you say this is 15%, 25, 40, 30, 70 plus around 20, it is around 90 plus percentage, means almost more than 90% is covered in this particular small range. So that's why here it is mentioned that most of the intelligence is lying in this particular range, 300 hertz to 3400 hertz. So especially in the communication, so if you are able to handle this particular voice frequency, this particular range of frequencies very efficiently, so the receiver will be able to reproduce the original signal. So that is the reason in the telephony, so the bandwidth allotted allotted to each voice frequency is 4 kilohertz. 4 kilohertz. So you are listening one particular very important term. This is called the bandwidth. Okay. So you see, actually what is bandwidth here in this particular case is the maximum frequency is 3400, the lowest frequency is 300. So it comes around 3100 hertz. This is supposed to be the bandwidth of this particular voice channel. So what exactly the term bandwidth means? See, you ought to understand, you should have a clear understanding what exactly is the bandwidth. So whenever you listen to this particular bandwidth means it's a range of frequencies. In that particular term you will be talking about. But see, if you want to have a better understanding with respect to the bandwidth, see, you just take a small simple example I want to give a better understanding. So you just imagine this particular lane, this is the road. Okay. So this is actually the width of the road. Okay. So what is there on the road? See, road is very important. Why? Because the vehicles are moving. So from one point to other point. Okay. So it is making use of this particular road. Okay. What is the resource on the road? Is the space. Okay. So the different kinds of vehicles move onto this particular road, isn't it? So if you are having a, say, small vehicle, say two-wheeler, it occupies less space. So if you have a four-wheeler, it occupies more space. So likewise, see, the resource on this particular road is the space. Okay. So if vehicles have to move onto the road, you basically require, if you want to move from one point to other, what is required? You require some space. Okay. So similarly in the communication also, if any information has to travel through the medium, it requires some bandwidth. It has to have its own space to move, to reach to the destination. Okay. It should be independent, totally independent. It should not be mixed up with somebody. See, when you are moving, the space is available for you to move. You are not using the space used by somebody else, isn't it? That's not possible. Okay. Similarly, so the bandwidth in the communication is a resource. So this you have to understand simply in this particular manner presently, but in future, when you go through the many lectures, you will understand, you have a more clear picture about the bandwidth. So here another thing you should understand, see, suppose there are more vehicles occupied in this particular space. Okay, it's moving onto the road. Okay, so what is the main thing which is getting affected? If this particular resource is occupied by so many users, okay, so what is the thing which is getting affected? Is the term speed, isn't it? So generally you keep listening. If suppose the bandwidth, if you want to have a good speed, then you should have a bandwidth, isn't it? If you have a large bandwidth, you get your speed is good. So these terms will be clear in the future lectures. Okay. So now here I am sure you might have understood what is the term called bandwidth. Fine. Okay. So next another thing you have to understand is the baseband signal. So basically what is a baseband signal? See, baseband signal is nothing but the original frequency range of the transmission signal. The original signal what we generate, okay, original signal, see our original signal, like our baseband signal, okay, see we are generating certain frequencies, it is ranging between in these frequencies. So this is nothing but a baseband signal. We have generated some frequencies. So this is a baseband signal. Okay. So similarly, its range is between 20 Hertz to 20 kilohertz. Okay. This is what is the range. So very interesting thing here to be understood is, say, whenever you are listening to a music, okay, or a song, you find so many musical instruments are being used. So every instrument generates a certain sound. All these sounds, it means it is having certain frequencies. Okay, all these frequencies are lying in this particular range. Okay, so now if at all you want the song has to move from one point to other, all these frequencies has to reach to that particular destination. So then only you will be able to get the original signal. The receiver able to reproduce the original signal. Okay. So this is what all the signals which are originally generated means. Okay. So these all things are lying in the range of 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. Okay. And it's a coincidence that even our audio frequency range, audio means listening frequency range, also lies in this particular range. Okay. Naturally, see what all the frequencies, what all the intelligence means frequencies are being generated, it is for our purpose. Okay. You are generating, and if you are unable to listen, then what is the use? Okay. So see, it is something like that. So what all the useful frequencies, okay, which has been originally generated, they are all in the range of the baseband. They are called as a baseband signal, and its range lies between 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. Okay. Similarly, the bandwidth of any signal is said to be, the baseband signal is said to be the highest signal frequency. So for example, here you see we have a baseband, our voice signal, the highest frequency is 10 kilohertz. You are supposed to have 10 kilohertz signal. This is supposed to be a baseband signal. Okay. Now, as I said, you see the bandwidth allotted to each voice frequency is 4 kilohertz in the telephony. Why it has been done? So you have to restrict. 10 kilohertz is a very huge thing, isn't it? So why, if our purpose is, if you are able to process this 4 kilohertz up to the receiver, our purpose is solved. Why? Because the more than 90% intelligence is lying in this range. So that you can carry so many voice signals in the available bandwidth. So that's the logic. So you can carry so many voice signals in the particular process. Okay. So actually speaking, it is the 3100 hertz only. So it is processing each voice signal 3100 hertz. But actual allotment of this thing bandwidth is 4 kilohertz. Okay. Why? Because see, it is having some guard bands, both the sides. Okay. See, around 900 hertz is a extra frequency is allotted as a bandwidth for a voice channel. Why? Because you have a clearance. See, when the vehicles are moving onto the road, there should be some space between each vehicle, isn't it? Otherwise, it will collide. So similarly, in the communication also, when the voice frequencies are moving, okay, into the media, it should have its own free space. It should not touch with each other. So that's the reason the guard bands are provided. So this is a very small logic about the voice frequency, how it is being transmitted in the telephone communication. Telephone communication, the allotment of voice signal is 4 kilohertz. See, especially the olden days, when you are listening somebody's voice in the telephone instrument, you don't straight away recognize his voice. See, this is one of the reason. Okay, why? Because when you are listening to a person face to face, you are able to get all the frequencies whatever is generating. But here what we are doing, the intelligence only we are sending. There is a small difference when you listen to the person through the telephone. So this is the logic. Why? Because we are only processing some part of it. Okay. So I think up to this you have better understood what is actually a voice signal, what is a baseband signal. Okay. What is the importance of the term called bandwidth. Okay. Now here, to continue further in the baseband signal, see, so far we have not talked about the digital communication or other things. We will be learning more about it. But see, when I talk about the digital communication, so digital means, so when you listen to the word digital, so you will be listening to the term called binary, isn't it? So any information is represented in the form of bits, either it is 0 or 1, something like that. So a series of bits will be there. So these bits, whatever it is there, that also to be represented by some signal. Okay. So what signal you are using to represent these bits, so that also is said to be a baseband signal, because the original signal is representing these bits. Okay. So this is all about a baseband signal. Okay. So in continuation further, Okay. See, whenever we speak, we speak either loudly or slowly, depending upon the requirement. If you want to speak to the close by people, you speak slowly. Okay, for example, you want to take a class, so many students are there in the classroom. Naturally, you have to speak loudly. What actually the difference between the speaking slowly or loudly? Okay, so generally what we are doing is we are increasing the strength, means we are managing the strength of the voice signal. Okay, when you speak loudly, the strength of the voice signal is more, so that it travels for a longer distance. Okay, so it's a natural thing. Okay, so this strength of the signal makes is the strength of the signal tells how far it can travel. Okay, there is a limitation. Okay, how loudly you can speak. Okay, there is a limitation. It can travel around when you maximum, if you are speaking to a top of your voice, it may reach around 10 to 15 meters or so. Okay, so but see, there is a requirement, like if you are addressing a very large gathering, okay, you want your voice should reach to long distance, means so many people are there and they should be able to listen to it. So there is one particular, so far I have not talked about any equipments. Okay, this is the first time I am talking about equipment called public address system. Okay, so what we are actually doing in this particular case is, see, we want to increase the strength of your voice signal. So naturally you require some device, isn't it? So what is that particular device? Is nothing but the amplifier. Amplifier means it will increase. See, amplifier is, what is this particular amplifier? It is an electrical electronic equipment, isn't it? You give some signal, it amplifies, isn't it? It is increase the power of the signal. So that's what its job. Okay, so how do you improve your voice, the strength of your signal? Okay, so see, this can amplify the what kind of signal? The electrical signal. But when we speak, what actually we are generating? We are generating a sound signal. So naturally, what is the requirement? Our sound signal, it doesn't amplify directly. So first thing what you have to do is, you have to convert it into the electrical signal. So what do you require? You require one transducer. Okay, so what is a transducer? Is nothing but the microphone. Okay, so when you speak in front of the microphone, okay, so what it does, it converts our voice signal into the electrical signal. So you are giving some electrical signal to the amplifier. Okay, so what is this particular signal actually? This is nothing but our baseband signal. Okay, so it is having all these particular frequencies in this. Okay, so as we told, that is it required that you have to process the whole complete bandwidth? Okay, if you process it, in this particular case, it's not an issue. Okay, because the sound quality will be good, people will be able to listen. Okay, if you want to restrict, otherwise if you want to restrict, because you know the intelligence is lying in this particular range, so you require in the first stage some device called a filter. Okay, so it's a passive device. It's a filter, means what you are doing, you are filtering out certain frequency components. Okay, so filter, generally you will be listening to low pass filter, high pass filter, isn't it? So in this case, you can choose one low pass filter, choose the cutoff frequency, like for example, choose the cutoff frequency to 4 kilohertz, say. So all the signals which is lying below this, okay, that is allowed. So it goes to the amplifier. So what does the amplifier do? It improves the strength of the signal, it increases the power of the signal. So now it is good. Okay, now the sound is audible to the many people. Okay, now further, what is the next requirement? Okay, you require another transducer, isn't it? Why? It has to be converted back to the sound. So what is that particular transducer? Is nothing but the loudspeaker. Okay, so now this is the first time we are talking about some equipment is coming into the communication process and what is the need of it. Okay, so in this particular session, there is a very small introduction about what is a voice signal, the baseband signal. Okay, what is the need of this particular public address system. Okay, so if you understood this particular thing, up to this session we will close it, and further The next episodes, you will be learning more and more useful information about the communication basics. So keep watching. Thank you.